had a lot of headaches.
My balance was very, very off.
I was very sensitive to the light.
I slept all day. I'd get up, but then I'd feel tired, so I'd go back to sleep.
I was very nauseous.
Sound was bothering me.
These students are experiencing post-concussion syndrome. Concussion is a head injury which affects at least 1 million people every year, including children and adolescents. Most recover quickly, within days. However, some experience problems that last longer, which can cause significant disruption of their lives. When students are affected by concussion, they may show signs and symptoms that affect their schoolwork and their personality. The key to a successful return to school involves a balanced and sensible approach by the student, their family, teachers, and other school personnel. We invite you to learn more about concussion and the positive role you can play in their recovery.
Concussion is a mild traumatic brain injury. It's caused by either a direct blow to the head or a jolt to the head. When this happens, the brain within the skull jostles around and releases chemicals that cause symptoms of concussion.
There are many signs and symptoms of concussion. They include confusion, memory problems, blurred vision, sensitivity to sound and light, dizziness, and balance problems. Physical symptoms can include headache, nausea, vomiting, and feeling unusually tired. Changes in behavior may also be noticed, such as increased irritability, anxiety, and avoidance of social situations.
I had pretty much a continuous headache. I had difficulty sleeping at night. I had no appetite. I was very sensitive to the light. There's a bunch of snow on the ground, so the glare would be coming in the windows. So I'd had to have my shades pulled.
Although most people recover from concussions quickly, there are others whose symptoms may last for months.
I'll have dizziness on and off, not a lot anymore, but I will have it. My balance is much better, but it's not as good as it could be. I'm still sensitive to lights.
One day you might feel fine, then the next few days you'll be sleeping all day. Won't get out of bed, have a really bad headache.
During recovery, the brain is struggling to function and tires more easily because cognitive processing is a physical activity in the brain. Students recovering from concussion may have problems with daily classroom activities. Listening, following directions, reading and writing, paying attention, and concentrating in class may be much more difficult because these students have a limited amount of energy.
As she started taking some tests, as she started getting homework, my husband and I were noticing her struggling, which is something she's never done academically. Getting very frustrated, lots of tears, just shutting down.
My grades were going down. I'm usually the lowest, the 80, high 80s are usually my lowest, and then 90 and above are my usual. And I've been getting 70s.
I've never really had a problem with math, but it was very difficult to do those few problems at that time.
For a while I couldn't even take them. I'd be able to take any tests. I'd go there, but when I started a test I'd get really bad headaches.
After a concussion, the brain gets tired more easily. And anytime the brain has to work, such as reading, concentrating, or taking notes, solving math problems, it's going to get tired more quickly, and the student can become exhausted. And with this, there's often an aggravation of symptoms as well, headache and other things. Also, asking the brain to work too hard may actually slow down recovery.
At first, a student may need a period of recovery at home. We recommend homebound tutoring because it allows the students to keep up with schoolwork in a less stimulating environment where they can rest as needed. When a student is ready to return to class, it's usually recommended that the transition be gradual, beginning with a half-day schedule and eventually extending to a full day as the student recovers. The student needs to be protected from overexertion and overstimulation of the brain. Teachers and parents need to make sure that the student is getting enough rest and is not being overworked.
When the student's ready to return to school, the key to make this successful is a balanced and sensible approach that involves the student, family, teachers, and other school personnel, as well as the medical professionals working with the student. Regular communication is needed between all of these parties to work together to ensure that the student is successful academically and also continues to recover medically from the injury.
Teachers will need to partner with their returning students in managing the classroom environment and the academic workload. Some strategies that we have found to be helpful include having them sit near the front of the class to better see the board, away from windows or doors to avoid distraction, and allowing them to change classes a few minutes before the bell to minimize their exposure to busy hallways. Health professionals working with the student may request scheduled rest breaks during the school day and alternatives to crowded cafeterias and assemblies. Returning to physical education should be guided by the student's doctor so that re-injury is avoided. We understand that class and homework expectations vary by grade level and discipline. However, returning students will need some modification of work requiring extended focus.
My husband and I held a meeting with the school nurse, the principal, and her two teachers shortly after we got involved in the program, and expressed our concerns and asked for their support and their help. They were wonderful. They were absolutely wonderful. We were successful in some of the requests immediately. Some of the requests, it took a while, and I think, with all due respect to her educators, I think it was, people just don't know. People just don't know how serious of an injury this can be. Corey is a very, very high achiever and has always been. And one of the greatest struggles for her through this whole thing is her feeling of academic failure. And that's been very difficult to handle. And it's been hard for her teachers because they know the type of student that she is. And I think they kind of, at times, forget, that they need to make modifications.
Teachers in general need to understand that it takes a lot of effort for the brain to process information, and it's tiring. And sometimes they have difficulty getting up in the morning and getting going. Sometimes, and therefore they'd be late to class or something like that, to school. Or they can't stay awake in class, or you're giving them 40, 50, 60 minutes of material, or block scheduling. Heaven forbid you're teaching 80 to 90 minutes of material, and you're not giving a whole lot of change of pace, etc. And so that can be overwhelming. The thing that I liken it to when I talk to anybody about this is, it's like your computer. As soon as your computer's memory is getting full, it's not working. It doesn't run at the speed that you want it to. And so think of your student as like a computer that's full. They're trying, but it's just not going quite as fast, and they're fatiguing, and it's getting worse, and so that's making it more overwhelming, and they're still over here processing what you said, and you're over here, and they miss in between, and so as the day progresses, they're getting further and further behind, and they're exhausted. And maybe they have to, just put their head down for, a short time during the day. It's not forever. I think looking at the whole picture, that, this is just a small part of a person's life. So it's not something that is a live or die. They can recover from it if we assist them in recovery.
Obviously, preventing concussion should be our goal. Children should wear the proper protective equipment while playing sports and follow normal safety precautions. If a child does experience a concussion, quick medical attention is imperative. In the case of a complicated recovery, the Central New York Concussion Management Program at Upstate University Hospital provide support for injured students and resources for parents and teachers to help students heal and gradually return to a normal routine.
Concussion is a significant health problem that can have serious consequences for children and adolescents. And it's important for all of us to recognize and accommodate children who are experiencing academic difficulties, as this will affect their recovery as well. We hope this has been helpful, and we encourage you to contact us anytime with any questions. Together, we can make a difference for the children of New York.